Hello, everyone. It's Weekly Manga Recap time here on June the 3rd of 2022. It's me, Nick, and it's you, Quinn, and it's you, the audience, the listener, the
Should have
people.
said like a random name and scare people. And it's
it's
me, Nick,
you.
and you, Quinn, and you, Jason.
That's a pretty common name.
Jason Schurmeister.
Oh, God.
We know what you did with that truck. You're going to jail.
Jesus.
And then they crash
yes,
off, they veer off into the side of the road, and guess what? We just caught a criminal.
Or it turns out that we're actually the new means by which people get those bogus calls, like the bogus scam calls. There's like, you owe the IRS money and you're going to be arrested, which is like, yeah, that's how that works. But instead, it's us telling us, if you're listening to us, you owe the United States money. Yes, even if you live in Germany instead.
I was going to say, the only way to get around this is to give Weekly Manga Recap your credit cards.
We might get in trouble if we do that.
Just, theoretically.
But only if you feel like it. All right. Well, so you might have noticed if you're listening to this live, or if you didn't see the podcast pop up on your feed or something like that. Oh, we're recording this a little late this week. That is Spectrum Internet's fault. I did not have internet access when we would have normally done the show on Wednesday. It came back about an hour after we would have started the show, and by then it's like, look, I gotta go to work tomorrow. We can't stick around for this.
Nick, you don't want to start recording a podcast at 9 p.m., get done around 11:05, sometime in that general area.
Oh man, to be 22 again.
It's weird because I think that, and then sometimes people show me like the old episodes back then, and it's like they were almost that long. And then we talk about like 6 series.
Yeah.
Like how did it go on that long?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're just like, this was good. Good. Next one.
Is that what we do now? Have we just defaulted to like, Akane-banashi was sweet. Let's move on. Who has time for anything?
I don't know. Maybe, and I guess that's probably it. Is that there was that we knew we only had 6 to talk about, and so it was like, let's milk this. Every single page we'll have an in-depth discussion that will have 7 tangents in it.
Yeah. We never go on tangents nowadays. That's like an old WMR bit. Today
that's right.
We keep pretty strict on the tracks.
That's right. It was a way of the past. It's become outdated now.
Exactly. It's passé.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think of that, about that whole that thing about MJF and the promo that everyone talked about?
I don't care.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of manga to talk about, however, because as a result of us kind of having to push the episode back, hey, another series came out with a chapter, so we're going to talk about that too. So we've got a full plate laid out for us, and I don't have anywhere to go tomorrow this time, so maybe we'll get a little bit more in. But if we're ready,
do have somewhere to go tomorrow. We will not be doing anything wacky.
All right. Well, okay. Let's get to our very gray and objective review of manga. All right. My Hero Academia. It's chapter number.
Oh, hype up! You know this chapter you're so excited to talk about.
Well, the chapter title, like, oopsie daisy! Like, how can you not get excited for that?
Oopsie daisy! I let one of the side characters accidentally get through.
What are you talking about? There's no side characters to speak of in this. Only main, important, best characters. All right, so
Everyone in Class 1A is a protagonist, even
that's right.
Sugar Guy thing.
Hey, Sato shows up in like every anime opening. How can he not be a main character?
If you're in the anime opening, how be bad character, huh? If you're in the anime opening, how be bad character, huh?
Look, I love My Hero Academia. I love like every anime opening in one form or another. They really overemphasize Class 1A, okay?
It's for this
Look,
moment.
Hagakure is forefront. Does she do anything in this arc? No. But look, there she is. She's in front of everyone and she's invisible and you can see everyone through her. It's a very cool framing device. She does nothing for these 13 episodes. We get a little bit of a flashback here to kind of set the stage for, hey, Endeavor is trying to fight All for One. The new top #1 hero is trying to take on the main villain alongside his good buddy Hawks, who is still the #2 hero.
Yeah.
And they just bring up, hey, you know how All for One's got that giant, obvious life support mask? If we target that and destroy it, he can't function without it. Which is like, okay, we never knew that with 100% certainty, I don't think, but it did definitely seem like it was in fact a thing keeping him alive, which is a little bit weird because he has like 20 bajillion quirks. You'd think one of them would give him the power to not, have shit lungs or whatever it is that it does to him.
Well, he can't. I know he can get rid of quirks. I was gonna say maybe he absorbed some shitty quirk accidentally, like he sneezed and like grabbed a guy's shoulder and he's like, "Oh, I inhaled your shitty lung fucking quirk or whatever." This sucks.
Ironically, the cure for it is smoking.
Look at our wacky world. Children, please don't.
And then he tries to do his, oh, they just made it worse. Yeah, I was lying.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you think that would help?
That's ridiculous. What is this upside down world? No. All for One, smoking kills. And then he turns to the camera. Kids, we've had a lot of fun today, but we really need to emphasize that smoking is very bad for your health. And although it looks very, very cool, like in the back you hear a direct like, cut, no, we told you to not say that.
And even though everyone will want to bang you.
Even though every lady thinks a guy who smokes is very cool.
But no, smoking being good for you. No, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. Anyway, this guy can grow extra limbs if he wants to. So, we get a little bit of the discussion, regarding that, and they're like, okay, that's our target, and hey, it's gonna be Hawks and Endeavor going for this, and they're keeping this very deliberately to a small team because they think this is the best chance of success. If there's a big crowd going after All for One, it's not actually going to be helpful. Like, everyone else is just going to get overrun by his ridiculous number of quirks and powers, and they'll just get each other's way. Fair enough. But Hawks and Endeavor have experience working together by this point. We've seen them fight together. And so, yeah, that's what we're getting. So they start fighting. There are explosions, arcs of energy, feathers. All for One says that their tactics are very obvious, and we get a brief little glimpse of, oh yeah, there was that one time when Hawks and All for One clashed and stuff, and but All for One also is taunting Hawks when he says this because he points out you used to be so fast, but ever since you lost all those feathers, you're not as fast as you used to be. You're no longer in your prime, despite Recovery Girl's best efforts. And you need prosthetic feathers to aid the few ones that you have to even approach your speed from before. And Hawks is like, all right, well, you're a cripple too. Fuck you. So, all right. So that is established. And then more fighting happens. There's a big clash between Endeavor and All for One that goes blam, 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 blam. Okay. And there's a weird little bit because Endeavor is just raining down these flaming fist blows And All for One says, the intense heat passes right through my hard flame fan. I can't reflect it with impact recoil. And it's like, all right, you're just naming things, okay?
He just likes to name drop things. He's like, so the other day I was at the grocery store and I used Quake Abomination because there was a couple things at the top shelf of Wonder Each. You guys all know what I'm talking about, right? Anyways, my rodeo drive was acting up as it does. And who should I see but Margaret? And I don't think her Thrumbum strawberry was even working. What a dork.
It was like, huh?
They're like, you're just saying words. He's like, oh shit, you see through me. No.
Endeavor hit hard. Me shield no work. Got it. Okay. But All for One keeps on taunting them, saying, "Oh, your timing doesn't match up." All right, whatever. He's just saying things, and he's like, "Oh, you're not. The novices are just focused on the battle at hand. So why does it feel like your head is somewhere else, Endeavor? Maybe because your masterpiece mopped up your failed experiment. Aren't you delighted?" And Hawk just shouts out, "He's provoking you."
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, which it's like
I do appreciate that. It's clear, like. All for One's kind of got a one-note game. It kind of functions one way. Like, I'm gonna mind manipulate you until I could just blow you up with 1,000 quirks, and someone else is there to recognize it and be like, "Please don't fall for it. Please don't."
You'll look so stupid if you do. Dude, I have an action figure of you. Please don't fall for it. All for One says, "For ages now, I've had my eye on your twisted longing for power, Endeavor, and the thing about me is, when I come across fertile ground, I can't help but sow seeds. You never did find Toya's body, did you?" No, because, I mean, they know that because Toya was alive.
Yeah.
It's why, but Endeavor looks shocked about this. It's like, well, no, obviously not, because Toya is alive. What? Why? What?
Yeah, this part I was a little confused by.
So, but Hawks is, observing from the side, and he's like, "Oh my God, he still had such a nasty card to play," and he contrasts his situation with Endeavor's, which is, Endeavor is trying to atone for his past. He can't make a clean break from his troubled past the way that Hawks did, which was by like, well, my parents were very troublesome, so I'll just, step away from that. Right now, he could not have fought and beat Dabi. That's why I gotta be here to support him. And it's like, I understand that Endeavor is very troubled still by what's going on, and I do like that is actually preventing him from fighting at full capacity. It's nice to know that all the shit that has happened to him has had consequences for him. But it is just a weird moment to be the big gotcha or the catalyst for this.
People are saying it's because until this point we didn't know All for One had a hand in Dabi's turn and everything like that. That he was there. It's one of those things I'm like, oh yeah, I guess.
We do know that because we had the reveal of
the audience
Toya's power. Yes, the audience does. But the way that he says this, it's like, okay. I mean, maybe if instead he had said, "Haven't you ever wondered why you were never able to find Toya's body?" or something like that. Maybe just a more obvious wording for him saying like, "Hey, I did that thing."
Yeah.
Because the way he's saying it's like, well, no, obviously, because Toya's over there. Like, so. Anyway. So Hawks keeps on trying to bring Endeavor's focus to in and says, "Hey, come on, your job is to take down All for One, keep a cool head." And Endeavor's like, "I'm gonna get really mad.
I'm gonna mess everything up."
And the follow through immediately is All for One growing a thing on his hand. There's bones and a mouth. I don't know. Sticking out as he slashes through Endeavor in the side and goes, oopsie daisy, because he is the world's greatest and most horrible villain. So
It's one of those things if I keep going, oopsie daisy. Oh, hey, there's a certain villain who could make that work. I don't know if All for One is one of those villains where that line reading comes off as intimidating and not like, what? Is this how you talk?
I could see Toga doing something like that, but All for One, it's weird. Hawks tries to help out, but All for One turns his attention to him and says, "Now, can you dodge at this range, Nagant's replacement?" And Hawks immediately is like, "No, I can't. But maybe Endeavor can use Prominence Burn if I keep him alive here." But before he can even finish that thought, I turn the page, and the best thing ever happens. Where did this come from?
I was very excited when I saw this because I was like, Nick's happy reading this. I know he is.
So Hawks' good buddy Tokoyami and the best character show up. I don't know why this combination came to help out. I know why Tokoyami's there. Why is Jiro also there? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's All for One they're fighting, and only Jiro can be of help in this kind of situation. Fucking Tokoyami, number 4 hero in Class 1A. Fuck that. No.
Jiro, number 1 character in the heart of every Nick in the country.
Every Nick who has a podcast about manga.
Shit, what's Happy Nick up to? Did we just lump him in?
So Tokoyami flies in. Jiro is mounted on him. I know that's look.
She's riding him. She's riding him,
she's like holding his cloak in one hand in a way that she is almost literally riding him like a horse, basically. Yes. And she uses her earphone ability to create a wall of sound of some sort that blocks All for One's attack. And everyone's like, wait, what the hell?
I love, in particular, that there's like a reaction panel from All for One. And I know that, like, I know it's kind of imprinted in the mask. But like, when you catch it at certain angles, it's more obvious that it's like a skull face on it. And I do just like that, like, it's this skull face with like a frown, like, like it's real pouty, like, what are you doing? I was gonna kill the heroes.
Aww. You ruined everything. So, immediately after that really cool moment, we get a little bit of banter between Jiro and Tokoyami to establish, like, oh yeah, this is a very awkward thing. Like, I don't know if we've seen Tokoyami fly anyone really in a way like this before, because he's just doing like the Superman pose with his arms out while she has to actually do all of the holding on and everything. Tokoyami ends up saying that her butt being on his back is embarrassing him, which is like, all right, calm down, dude. You're in a very, very tight
Now's
situation.
Not the
time. So Hawks calls out to them saying, like, you guys are going to die. Get out of here. But Tokoyami says, like, hey, I know I'm not a very good substitute for Endeavor, but you and I are also capable of teamwork. And then All for One tries to save face as if he didn't just get his ass handed to him by saying, oh, the old comic I used to read, there were jobber characters who only existed so the Demon Lord could show what he was made of. It's like, all right.
Nick, are you going to let him call your favorite character a jobber?
I don't know why he's talking down to himself like that. I mean, Jiro's way better than him, but he's not a jobber.
Yeah, you're not a jobber, All for One. You're okay, buddy.
Just because, you came into this fight already in the ring with no entrance doesn't mean you're a jobber.
You have a chance. Like, you're going to get some offense in, maybe. So, this could turn it all around.
Yeah. Jiro says, in response, like, "Hey, why don't you save calling us jobbers until after you've actually beaten us?" And she's got her cool speakers on her earbuds going on. So yeah, I know for about 3/4 of this chapter, I was always like, all right, but no, best chapter.
Best chapter of the week. Best chapter of the week.
I don't know if week covers it. And again, I should clear. I think that we need to all remember that yes, All For One seemingly has modeled his life after this comic book that he read and did not finish. So
he's like, one day I'll get around to it. I'm sure it all works out for the bad guy. It tends to. All right, let's move on to Undead Unluck. Number 112, room 25. So, did you get it?
I don't know. I don't see it.
Nick snatched a bug in midair, but
I tried to.
It's weird because you'll see it, and it seems like you're that Karate Kid scene where you're just like grabbing the fucking bug.
Yeah.
So Seal and Ruin are flying through that last level in Star Fox 64, just one long tube basically to the bad guy, and they get to an unbreakable door. And I got really scared because they're like, well, the only way to get through this is to kill the Unbreakable. And I was like, I don't like that. And then Tatiana showed up and says, you're the bad person who stabbed Fuko. Both of you are dying right here. And I was really not happy because I'm like, please don't. I know everyone's going to come back okay, but please don't kill Tatiana.
Don't stop killing everyone.
Well, we just had to start getting ready for this stuff to happen because it's what's happening for a little bit. Andy's riding in on his motorcycle and he just sees a bunch of dead bodies. He goes through and he's like, oh shit, this area is full of gas. It's deadly gas. Even a minute of this stuff is deadly. We see one of the scientific officers is there and he's like, hey, you gotta take Miko, who has a respirator on. And he's like, yeah, I had to knock her out because she refused the mask. And he's like, well, why did you only put one on? And he's like, it was destroyed. All of them were destroyed, basically. Nico probably did so in advance of all this. He left away for his daughter to survive. I don't know what's going on, but please, I owe that man everything. So Andy goes on, leaving behind this guy who's just like, I hope next time I can be a little wiser, and then just fucking dies. So
yep. That's knowing you, dude.
Yeah. Andy shows up, just screams, Nico, where the hell are you? He gets a communication saying, I'm waiting in room 25 on level 8. And Andy just says, that room? Thankfully, we don't have to wait like too long to find out what that room is because they get there. And hey, that room, it's where they keep all the bodies of Union members because there's Unavoid still hanging out up there, I think. And, what's her name? I want to call her Charlie. That's not it.
It's not.
I don't remember. Unchange.
Yeah.
Angela?
That's closer, I think.
Something.
I can't remember.
Anyways, Gina. That was it. And it's just like, huh. So that's where old Nico's hanging out. And he's just like, what, are you being controlled by somebody? And it's just like Nico, who's just so fucking tired of life. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe we're all being controlled by the rules God has crafted. And he's like, I ain't here to wax philosophical. And Nico's like, oh, well, that's all I wanted to do. And he's like, why are you doing this? And he says, look, I don't do this for money or for fame. There's only two things that could sway my heart. My dream of slaying God and my wife. Well, I chose my wife. And Andy, gets up ready for a fight. And, Miko just continues like, I could never forget the sadness of losing her. You see, I've tried every option in the book in order to see my wife again, to erase a sorrow. And that's why I've kept myself alive all these years. And I don't plan on us ever understanding each other. After all, you just forget everything anyway. And then he activates his little secret orb technique and slices Andy up in a Quillpoth sort of style. Not exactly, but a very similar way. And he just says, "That applies to you too, doesn't it, Undead?" And that's where the chapter ends, with Andy bisected like 17 times. I guess it's not really bisected then, but
It's bisected multiple times over, maybe, but yeah.
Decasected?
So, I forget, have we actually learned what Nico's title is yet?
It's been theorized for a while. It's Unforget. I can't remember if I think we must have learned it during the Hanafuda, whatever the card game was with Spring, because he was a part of it. So I think
right.
I don't remember if it was specifically mentioned there or not, but it's been theorized. It's been Unforget for a while based off a pun in the name.
Yeah. So this seems to indicate as well that he actually remembers stuff through the loops, which would be interesting and also give, a different kind of, motivation for someone, as opposed to it's like, oh, we'll just go through another loop. And he's like, fuck that. That doesn't help me. So, also, this is a really, really cool opening salvo that he does, which is just like, all right, you're parts now. And he somehow is still glaring at him, even though his head is in about 4 pieces.
Yeah. There's something very vicious about his fucking jaw hanging there.
But his brain's been affected by this too. So, I wonder how that's gonna affect it. So,
it'd be great if he just has the card spring loaded now, like Victor just goes up and beats shit out of him. I am looking forward to this. I like that we're gonna handle this Nico stuff. I think what'll be really funny is Andy is grabbing Fuko and putting her into her room, and Phil's there, and he's just like, "Here's my backstory. Goodbye, Mr. Andy." Or they don't have time, so it's just a montage of them doing all the things to fix everything in that new future. They're and then we found out what was up with Phil, and we saved him, I guess.
Yeah, very quick chapter. Considering that it's just no, we're moving, and it feels like it's a chapter that should be fast paced because there's just this rush to get things done, and there's just one simple plot line of Nico betrayed us, and here are some of the effects of it. I do want to see what this untouchable column that Tatiana has made is going to do. But unfortunately, I do get the sense that we're going to have a lot of cases of, we cut back to some member of Union and they're dead now.
Yeah.
Which is I know we're going to get through it and hopefully everyone's just going to come back and be okay, but it's
I don't want to start with the little girl. That's not the one I want to start with seeing get murdered. I don't want to start with any, half of them are kids. Fuck, dude. Ain't you start with old ass fucking, shit, that was actually a... I was want to start with the old ass dude on the dead. I was like, oh wait, that was a shit. Who we found out is a young person. Shit. Nico. Fuck.
All right.
This just cuts to a panel of Phil impaled into a wall. He's like, I wrote my backstory and my blood splattered. That way you'll know. I was Pinocchio or something.
All right. What's next?
We have Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8.
Move this stuff over. All right, it's Kaiju number 8, chapter 63. Oh no, Reno has lost himself, and inner Reno is crying. But Iharu is here to help him, and he breaks through his self-made mental prison and stuff, reaching out his hand to him. And he cut outside to the real world, and Iharu is giving him a piggyback ride. Well, Reno's limbs are fucked up because he pushed himself too hard. So someone's got to carry him around so he can do stuff.
Yeah.
So Reno starts to object, but Iharu's just like, hey, listen. The captain's giving us extra time. The senior officer drawing the Hanju's attention for us. So you're going to beat the Hanju so you can officially use the number 6 suit, right? I'll get its core to a vulnerable state, and you snipe the thing. And Reno starts to say, but you'd be putting yourself in danger. So something happens very quickly here, which is Iharu puts on the brakes, and then immediately he turns and headbutts Reno, and I don't know exactly what all happened in between, but he headbutts him. So, and then he shouts at Reno saying, hey, don't take me for a joke. You try to shoulder everything by yourself. I'm older than you, so shut up and let me handle this. That's right. Listen to your senpai.
Yeah.
So Reno is kind of shocked by this, and it kind of shocks him out of his funk because, he thinks to himself, I can't believe Iharu. Whenever I find myself freaking out, he always helps me regain focus. And he doesn't say all of this. He just says to Iharu that he's amazing. But Reno's like, all right, let's do it. And they split up to go and work on their plan. Iharu rushes back in while Reno stays behind in a sniping position because his legs don't work so good right now. So there you go. People observe that Ichikawa's psi wave patterns have returned to normal. He's managed to regain control of himself. But, of course, the problem is that his physical condition is all messed up. So everyone else is going to have to handle all of the movement part of this operation. But they're like, I don't know about this, though. Furahashi's only at 24% unleashed combat power, so I don't know if he can do it. And then there's this big blast of energy that appears in the Honju and makes it cry out in pain. And everyone's like, wait a minute, that seems really strong for 24% combat potential. So the captain asked them to track Iharu's combat power, and they're like, it's only at 41%. Wait, now it's at 22%. Wait, now it's at 42%. And it's just jumping up and down very unstably as Iharu tries to draw the Honju's attention. He's rushing up its tail, dodging attacks and stuff. And so Not Nanao says his combat power spikes when he gets into the zone, which reminds me of, and the captain agrees and says, he might be the same type as me. But importantly, during the spikes in his combat, he's actually basically as strong as Reno, at least without the number 6 weapon. So they indicate, like, if we taught him how to actually master that power, he could become a monster. Meanwhile, Iharu was thinking to himself, I was never a prodigy. He's like talking down on himself, where everyone's like, oh man, this guy's got incredible powers. Like, no. The role of a hero was never mine to take on. And he, in that mental scape of everyone passing by him, he's now staring at Reno's back as well as all the other monsters that he's kind of been chasing after, trying to catch up with. But he thinks to himself, I'm sure this path will lead me to the same old wall again. But even if it does, I'll hit that wall and hit it and keep on hitting it and break my hands because that's what walls do. But, But he swears to himself, I'll make it there too. Just go on ahead and wait for me. And he's continuing to take on the Honju up until a point that people are like, okay, he's overheating. He's in real danger now. He's reached his limit. But he manages to blow open the previously frozen area on the Honju's body and expose the core. And as Iharu falls back down from having unleashed this attack, he shouts out to Reno to seal the deal. And Reno takes his big sniper shot and blows a giant-ass hole in the Honju, which then explodes into an iceberg on the other side. And that is our chapter.
Yeah, this is a really cool chapter. One, it gives something for Iharu. You can't just have another character who's like, hey, their combat power is really, really surprising. Instead, it's like, no, he seems to have this ability to, like mediate it really well and fluctuate exactly as he needs to, which is pretty cool. And I like that the commander's like, wait, he might be the same type as me. He'd become a monster. Like, that's, I think, like a very cool moment. And then it was also just the cool bit of, like, Reno shows off and wins. And it's awesome how it's like all this work for Iharu to open up. And he's like, all right, there's the shot. And then it just cuts over to Reno, who's like on a fucking cliffside and just fucking snipe nukes this thing. And it's like super cool to see. I just think a very impressive teamwork between them. And it ended up being a really satisfying little story.
Yeah. What a great concept, having a team up between two characters where both of them are, made to look cool. And,
Yep.
and that's just it. They win because they both have their own special talents that work well together. Yay!
Yep. All right. We have a Spy Family chapter. If we want to talk about it.
Okay, I'll take us through this really quickly.
I choose to believe this chapter did not happen because Bond is sad and unhappy at the end of it, and I don't like that.
He makes a friend,
But it's Frankie. That's like a negative friend.
It's a chapter where Frankie, he's having to pet sit for Bond, and he's upset with Bond because he's like, why do I have to do this? Bond spots, like there's that scene at the beginning of the 101 Dalmatians where Pongo like checks out all the different dogs and is like, I don't know if I would bang that one, but I would bang that one. Yeah, it is kind of like that kind of moment, except Bond sees this love struck at first sight. Frankie doesn't call Bond by his name. He calls him Warfels because, I don't know, he's not nice. So. And wouldn't you know it, the dog belongs to an attractive young lady. So Frankie's like, oh, I know. What if we try and double date this? And like the next time they go to the dog park, Frankie's wearing a suit and he's got flowers and stuff. He takes Bond out to the park, runs into the same woman and her dog again, and it's like, ah. Bond goes to spend some time with the female dog who's like, while Bond is, it is all, just images to tell a story. It's honestly kind of cute at certain points. But Bond's, he's a big clumsy guy. Things aren't working so well for him. Meanwhile, Frankie is just bombing really, really hard, and thankfully we aren't following him as the primary point of focus during all of this, because like, I just happen to be carrying these flowers. Do you want them? And she's like, no, thank you. Oh. And eventually Bond tries to like present the other dog with a caterpillar, and that doesn't work. She swipes it away. Things don't work out. And Frankie got himself slapped because he just like is pathetic, and that's it. And so things don't work out for Bond or Frankie. They bonded a little bit though because they both struck out. And that's the end of the chapter. Yay!
Yeah, it's sort of like a chapter like, I guess it was the kind of chapter you want after the general heaviness of the last couple and things like that. But it is definitely like a whatever chapter.
Maybe we'll get into more ridiculous comedy shenanigans again in the near future. But I guess that is a nice way of kind of like, let's cleanse the palate with this just like very simple comedy setup. And then it's just like, let's just move on after that. So
speaking of wacky comedy shenanigans, we have a new chapter of World Trigger to talk about.
So this chapter came out yesterday. And I want to point out that, this month we only get one chapter of World Trigger. In fact, this past 2 months, we only get one chapter of World Trigger because there was no chapter the month before. And what could be better than more away mission tests? How about people talking about the away mission test?
The best part. How about people talking about the away mission test, but more specifically, a character you don't give a shit about?
And you know why he's good at this? Because he used to play shogi.
Yeah. I like, there was a point where I got halfway through the chapter. I was like, God damn, we are really going to talk about Mizukami this entire fucking chapter. You get like a two-page thing at the end of Suya being like, hey, I think Osamu's going to help us come out with a breakout plan for this next strategy. And then until then, you were just like, hey, fuck, let's just talk about this Mizukami thing, I guess. What an asshole, right?
Chapter 223, the away mission test, part 21! We get a few pages of them just talking about the idea that you think that Mizukami's just doing this the simulations on his own. Yeah, well, how could he do that? Well, he was a professional. He went to a school for professional shogi players. What if we did the same thing? What if we had Katori play the battle sims entirely by herself? She's not on Mizukami's level, but it would, open up the rest of our team to work on the responses to stuff and we could, get the side benefits at least. Okay, let's cut over to Kakizaki's squad. Kageura is having a talk with Taichi, who is glum because he's like, man, it really, really, really fucking sucked when I got picked dead last, and I'm really hung up on it. Good. And he says that not only did it suck for him to get picked last personally, but it's like I also just felt like I let down Susanari's squad, which is like, all right, okay, I know that's it's like just a feeling. Like there's no actual logical reason that connects, but whatever. But he says he wants to prove himself during this test, and he's thankful for Kageura's, presence there and stuff. And Kageura says that he's kind of pissed off, like, who says you ain't good enough before you even try, basically. So I guess he's just kind of pissed off on his new teammates' behalf because no one, like, thought very much of him in the selection, which isn't necessarily true. Like, it's also just because of, like, the needs people had on their teams, but whatever. We get just like, okay, it's the end of day 2. It's the start of day 3 now. And there is like a changing of the guard of the observers, I think is what's happening here.
No, it's the same observers. They're just going through the various different discourse of the last day, particularly all of the discourse about Mizukami. Like, hey, what's going on with this?
Mm-hmm.
Like all that sort of stuff. Because you can read all the comments are public.
All of them, yeah. Oh, I guess it's just that they all went out and got food and stuff because of the start of a new day, so they didn't have anything to do. It was like, all right, let's go also sleep and stuff. So, yeah, we get a lot of talk about.
I think some of the A rank people might not have been there every day or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they make comments about that because some of them are coming from a defense mission. Yeah. So we get more talk about Mizukami going on and like what do you guys think about his strategy? What do you think about the way that he's handling it? Talking about it with his teammates and stuff. And thank God Konami is involved in this in order to like spice things up a little bit. Because there's like a forum thread that's going on in these point evaluations basically, and they're like, hey, Mizukami's plan isn't violating any of the rules. So every time that he's been asked specifically by management to share info with his squad, he's done it. And Konami's like, yeah, but the problem is that like he's like humiliating people on his team in public. He should have like called an aside in order to do this stuff. And then there's more coming back like, yeah, but Mizukami's goal wasn't to actually convince her to see his side of things. It was to shut her up. So his approach was effective. And Konami's like, no, fuck him. More minus points.
I love that it exists that you could just keep responding to people and those points count. Like you can keep adding and you can add more because someone's like, no, I think his plan was just to fucking tell her to shut up. And like, that's worse and gave more bad points to it. I was like, this is a crazy scoring system.
I do like to think that Konami's like, no, I really hate this. It just like spends a bunch of time hitting the minus button.
They do seem to indicate later that like, I guess if you're an agent that just fucks around, they like border people yells at you. But I really do like the idea that you can just keep doing this shit. You just keep responding like, no, -3. And they're like, all right, fuckface, I still disagree. We're gonna go -6. All right.
Tachikawa ends up responding to this thread by also giving minus points to Mizukami, but his comment is, "Proverbs are valuable, a wise guru." And so they're like, "Oh, wait, but is he taking a stance against Mizukami because he gave him minus points? But what?" And so someone just says to Tachikawa like, you got to take this seriously. You're going to get in trouble with the director. And Tachikawa's like, all right, fine. He just doesn't give a shit. But they kind of talk about his logic for this anyway. Moving on to that. what is this? I forget this character's name. The one who is eating this sandwich.
They say her name Mai, isn't it?
It is Mai, right, right. So she gives this very, very intricate, analysis of like the whole Mizukami thing, and brings up the point of like, hey, I do feel bad for Teruya because they were kept in the dark and they were humiliated. But on the other hand, Yuiga is similarly humiliated all the time and nobody seems to care. And everyone's like, yeah, that's a good point. And Yuiga's like, wait, what? Nobody cares when I'm humiliated? Come on. It's like, oh, apparently not.
Turns out everyone thinks you suck, dude.
And they're like, yeah, but Yuiga's doing just fine. And he's like, no, it really hurts when you do this to me.
Yeah, but you're an asshole, so...
Yeah, you just got your position because of nepotism, so, yeah. More talk about the Mizukami situation, more talk about it. They, to close on this part of it, they talk about, like, do you think any other squads have caught on to this? And if they have, are they going to take up Mizukami's strategy? And basically they're like, I don't know. We get, like, the reveal that, oh, hey, for this day, there's going to be more units available for the simulations, more units you have to manipulate. And so they're like, oh, maybe that's why the points are increased as the battle simulations go on. You're going to have more units you have to manipulate. And Sua says, like, also, hey, I think that this is what's going on. He just flat out brings it into the open with the rest of the squad, instead of, like, people just having kind of private talks about it. And so they say, okay, well, so maybe the reason that they're doing really well is they don't have to waste time in communication. Should we do the same things so that we can get more points on universal assignments and stuff? Katori listens to all of this, and it just kind of has, like, a honestly pretty muted response. And so they're like, hey, you don't seem really put off by this. And she says, yeah, I was expecting, like, a way worse scenario for, like, cheating going on. So I guess it's that crazy. So, like, all right, fair enough. But they talk about that, and then Sua makes the decision that we're going to keep on doing the battle sims as normal, though, because it's going to be valuable for us to learn how to master it when the points are maximized. And he just, for the last 2 pages, basically, he just says, we're going to find a way to exploit this and cheese out future battles so when it matters most, we just do the cheapest spam moving bullshit.
I do. I love the idea that they're playing is like, we're gonna cheese the shit. We're gonna find whatever frame thing, like iframe doesn't fucking follow, and we're just gonna combo spam. We're gonna sit on the edge of the stage, and we're just gonna Hadouken you over and over again. And if you don't know how to counter it, sucks to suck, buddy.
We're going to stun lock him. We're going to edge guard. We're going to use invincibility frames. Fuck it. We're just going to find the cheapest possible way to win. And that is what we're doing. We're not trying to actually do well right now. We're just going to make everyone hate us at the end of this.
What I appreciate is that as I've grown older, this is also the way that I've come to play video games, which is like, all right, what's the most broken way I can play this stupid game?
This isn't fun, so I might as well just...
I got Bravely Default too, and like there's a whole job system to it and everything, and I was just looking up videos, and I saw one that like, so this combo uses like 2 classes in the game, and there's one that like, it has a passive that every time you kill a creature it adds to your stats. So if you take like a really, really long time, you could just grind out your stats to maximum and just shit stomp the rest of the game, and I was like, that's what we're doing.
Sounds good. You had me at get your stats to maximum really easily.
Who needs to play the game when I can just shit stomp you with my broken Beastmasters?
Yeah. So a lot of this chapter is honestly taking a long time to emphasize a point that I don't think needs that much time dedicated to it. But the inevitable conclusion of Sua just saying is like, yeah, no, I don't care about that. Let's find a way to cheat.
It's not cheating. It's not cheating.
It's
You're
not
cheating the game. The game developers may not have intended it, or maybe they did. You know.
I also do like the way he connects it all together, which is Osamu does not have high stats, quote unquote, in real life. So he finds ways to cheese real battles.
Yes.
So I think that he'll be crucial for us being able to do this. It's like, all right, that's that makes perfect sense to me.
It'd be great if he's like, oh, dude, spider triggers in this game are broken. Like, the AP scaling's all completely fucked up. Like, you could just spam it, and if they walk into a hallway, they're ripped to shreds or something like that. You're like, sweet.
Huh, spiders cast... Spiders take no move to cause them. They generate an extra move, in fact, so I guess we'll just do that.
Everyone's like, wait a minute.
This is broken as fuck.
I hope the answer is something like that.
There's literally a move that just gives you extra moves. It's ridiculous.
This is crazy. Every action is a pot of green with this card. I built a deck of nothing but pot of greens and then a one-shot card.
Can't you only have 3 of any cards? Like, yeah, but not with this one.
They didn't code it right. You can put as many pot of greens in your deck as you want. It's not my fault.
All right.
I enjoyed the chapter, though. I thought it was fun. It's just it's one of those things. You've either been beaten down to the point you're like, I accept. I may never see this actual way mission. But we're here for the journey.
This was a weird in-between chapter for me, where like a little part of me was reveling in this is so stupid that we're taking so much time on this, but a part of me was like, no, I can't anymore. So I think that's the first time we've had one of those where I was like, no, I'm actually torn on this, as opposed to I've reached my breaking point fully, or no, I've fully embraced this. It's part of me now. Let's keep going. It was a weird and awkward feeling reading it.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird and awkward positions, Eden Zero.
Good segue. Eden Zero, chapter 193, A Good Boy. Cover page is Hermit doing the DJing, I think. So
I guess it is. I didn't even realize that there's record things on her keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a future DJ thing, like Sona.
I think that might, because she's got like the horn thingies, so maybe it's actually like an actual reference to that. Huh.
Maybe. We cut over to where we were before. Weiss's mom maybe is in that tank. So looks like the fight's done, except it's not. Weiss just punches him in the face. And it's like, I'm not going to let you kill my mom. And Brain? No, Killer. That's his name. It's just like, I'm going to do it. I'm gonna kill her.
I'm totally gonna do it.
And he goes to smash it. Weiss is like, no. We got a flashback of Weiss as a kid. And his mom was like, oh no, what happened to you? And he's like, nothing happened. And she's like, tell me. And he's like, fine. Some jerk says you don't have a dad because he cheated on your mom and ran off. And we actually get a very sweet moment of Weiss's mom hugging him and saying, I'm so sorry. They all expect a family to have a mom and a dad. And they don't, like, this is what's normal for us. You're really so good, and I promise I'll make sure you never feel alone. I love you enough for both of us, basically. And I was like, it's a very sweet idea. Family is not prototypical in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. It's a nice little sweet moment.
Yeah, and it's an echo of the very obvious, theme running through Eden Zero of like, the crew is like a family. And it's nice that, see another example of that.
And they lost their mom. And I guess their dad is Moskoy? I don't really know.
That's a good point.
We cut back to the present, and Weiss has been shot up by the space laser cannons. And he just goes, oi, mom, is that really you? And that's enough. He's down for the count, it seems like. Clown shows up and is just like, woohoo, you finished up, me too. And he shows up at Rebecca, who I guess was just defeated by being sucked into that other dimension. It's not really clear.
I guess, yeah.
And he's like, cool, I did my job. They're like, all right, let's just go to Hamor and grab her. And Clown's like, oh, a Briggy boy. He's the type to think there's meaning in battle itself. And I'm like, yeah, he's kind of scary too. Well, I'll just let them handle things. While we go off to accomplish our true purpose. We cut over to Shiki's at the lab, and he's like, I've been strapped in. I can't use my ether gear. Wait a minute, I can. And he escapes.
This pissed me off so much. We had a full training montage of them training to use ether gear while they were bound up. And it took him like 10 minutes to remember he could do this. Like, we came up with our own reasons. Like, I guess it's because he's in a virtual world where Killer controls everything. It's not just that he's physically bound. He like changes the rules of what can be done. No. Shiki just has to go like, wait a minute. Yes, I can. Come on.
I think it's maybe still like in my headcanon, it is that Killer was keeping him from being able to use it, and now Killer has left. So now she can do whatever he wants. It's not entirely clear though. It's just very dumb. It's a very dumb moment. But Shiki's like, I'm free. I'm coming to help.
Not before he has a pratfall immediately after that.
Because it's a little silly.
Because this is a funny moment, see?
Yeah, it's a little silly. Amora has been getting beat down by Brigadine. We get a moment that makes me laugh because he's like, yes, I was created to defeat Valkyrie, and that means I was given the greatest attack power of the 4 Dark Stars. I was fucking murdered by Jaguar, though. And I kind of thought I sucked after that.
At least he didn't ignore that happened.
I do like the acknowledgement. I didn't get my shit pushed in by Jaguar, if you recall.
It really sucked.
But he's like, I was revived with one mission, to eliminate the heir to the name of Valkyrie. That will be proof of my strength. And he punches her and he's like, stand up. Surely this is not the true extent of your power. Like, ooh, scary. We cut over. The crew of the Eden Zero is fighting Dead End Crow. It's very difficult. Holy's like, I swear I'll finish him off. We cut over to Sister and Hermit, who are like, don't do anything reckless. Your job is to act as a diversion. The Eden Zero can fire its main cannon. That'll be it. We cut to the inside of the ship, and Labilia is like, hey, I had to help Rebecca. I'll go kidding. I'll just take a starfighter and do it. And she's like, huh? Is somebody there? And who should be there but Killer and Clown, who say, shh, do pardon the intrusion. They're going to go after Sister and Hermit, I presume, and then have their memories sucked into them. And we'll find out all of them have sweet feelings towards the Eden Zero Shining Stars or whatever.
I guess. I don't know. I only really actually had one thought when we came to this scene, which was I finally realized, like, wait a minute. Labilia's ponytail thing is like separated from her actual head. So does that mean it's like a sci-fi hair extension?
Yeah, I think so.
It's actually kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's neat. It's a neat design choice.
I think I've seen it in other sci-fi games. You can do similar sort of things.
Cool.
Yeah. It's, as the kids say, neato. I think that would be the one to break you. Really didn't.
It is, as the youth say, Excelsior.
As the kids today say, cool beans, muchacho.
This combined horrible. All right. It is, as the kids say, radical, Pimpdaddy.
Oh man, that sounded real gross to say out loud. Like it's like those are 2 words that have a real bad mouth sound together. Radical Pimpdaddy. All right, I'm just gonna call the episode.
It actually sounds like that sounds actually like a shonen villain, doesn't it?
It sounds like a shonen villain or a ska band that you really don't want to listen to. And now up next, Radical Pimpdaddy. Oh, now that I say that, a ska cover of Take On Me sounds pretty good. I'm going to look that up right now so I can listen to it.
Sure, it exists. All right.
Ska. Oh, it'd help if I could spell ska.
All right. Let's move on to Akane-banashi. Story 15.
Oh, that's why, because Real Big Fish did it. Never mind, I'm good.
Story 15. Kogama's Rakugo.
I like the cover page.
It's nice.
Because she's showing Molder Man that she has fangs, so that he'll send for her.
I actually do like this picture because it's it's like, hey, check out Akane and her stylish clothes and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a good shot. I
So
don't know.
it's
Cool.
it's nice. Yeah, and gives you it's nice because it's like, yeah, I can see that this kid would be like, I'm gonna go do Rakugo to get revenge on the old fart who ruined my dad's. So last time, I kind of got her lesson from Koguma, who she then asked to see perform. And as it turns out, when he performs Rakugo, he looks completely different. His posture is different. His hair is slicked over. He doesn't wear glasses and stuff. Uh, and so Koguma starts performing his Rakugo in this, and he just says, there's this saying, to be a Zenza is to be less than human. And in this day and age, it's an anachronistic saying. But it used to be much more difficult in the past because in the Edo period, there was a Rakugoka named Karaku Sanshote, the earliest professional Rakugoka. And he just starts like giving a history lesson in Rakugo form. And Gurika says to Akane is like, yeah, so the name Karaku Cup comes from the guy that he's talking about. And it kind of says, yeah, I knew about that, but what story is he going to perform? And Gurga says it's called Foxes of Imado, which basically is about, there's this Zenza apprentice. We're told of an incident that illustrates the different lifestyle and customs that Rakugo had at the time and how hard it was to train in Rakugo. And you'd better listen because he chose this story because of what you said. He's trying to teach you something with this. And as he gets into it, Koguma rather says, yeah, Zenza didn't receive salary. You didn't know if you were going to be able to eat on any given day. The only money you got was from selling lots and prizes. The prizes were, candy and stuff. And it kind of is like, this is a weird story. And we get this reveal, which is, usually in Rakugo, you tell stories through conversation. You act out different characters who are talking to each other. And that's how the story unfolds with, some narration in between. This one doesn't have any characters talking to each other. It is exclusively narration. But instead of it being like, it's really weird, it's, fascinating, or it's, funny to have these characters talking to each other, you just tell an interesting history lesson in this one. And we see cutting to a couple people in the audience being like, this is very interesting. And it's education, which shocks Akane because he's like, I didn't know you could even perform Rakugo like this. You could entertain someone like this at all. And Guriga says, it's hard to memorize all these stories about history and stuff. You would have to do all this research, but that's not unique to this story. Koguma does thorough research on every story he performs. He learns the background of it, the daily customs of the period, the details of the setting. And Akane is like, why does he do that? And Guriga just says, he's a pessimist, so he likes to be thorough. I remember him saying he can't go up there and perform with confidence unless he's covered all the angles first. But the biggest reason is, and it doesn't seem like he actually says this part entirely out loud, but we see a conversation that he had with Koguma where he admits, this gives me a deeper understanding of the story. And if I have that, maybe I can deliver a more entertaining performance. And Gurga's like, this is just his style. And we get this cool, half, I guess we'll call it 2/3 page spread of Koguma performing while he's got this background of all of these books that he's learned from. So he finishes up his story and they're like, it was a fascinating choice. And actually the guy who, is running the event says, I've never seen that story performed before. And Koguma thinks to himself after he's done, and he's like mussing his hair back up again. Like, I wonder if Akane understood what I was trying to convey to her. There's a lot of different ways that learning new information can improve your Rakugo, but only if you have the desire to learn those things. So let's see what happens. We cut to later on where Akane is going to enter the Karaku Cup, and hey, she's meeting with her teacher again. Yeah, she's not gone. Like she came back into the story, which is nice. And she said, "Okay, yeah, I'll fill out the paperwork so you can do this. I'll need to understand who's competing and everything." And Akane says, "Hey, by the way, do you have any like recommendations for books about the Edo period?" And her teacher's like, why do you ask? And Akane says, well, I don't know what I'm going to learn or how I'm going to make use of what I learn. But I get the feeling I can't get any further without knowing things. And her teacher's like, I don't understand what you're saying. It's okay, Akane. In the context, I do understand what you're saying, and it's a cool little bit of insight that you've gained.
Yeah.
Her teacher then has a little funny moment of her own because she's like, "Oh yeah, I know a lot of different books, but I don't know what to narrow it down to. There's all these different. There's like historical writings. There's Shigeru Yamamoto's novels. I don't know which one to recommend." She gets really intense and passionate about it, which is nice. Mm-hmm. They agree to go to the library and pick out one there, and then we cut to another scene where Arakawa. Not Arakawa. It's Shigema, I think. Maybe? It's hard to tell. Maybe it's just like... He looks kind of like Shigema because he's an older guy who's got a similar hairstyle, but I'm not 100% convinced it's him. Maybe it's just like another journalist, but he's having conversation with Kimihisa Kashio, who is a writer for Monthly Rakugo, which... All right, cool.
I don't think we know either of these characters. I think both of them are new. I think only Kashio was actually relevant, and I think the other guy is just a person for a scene.
Right. Well, I guess that they're in an office or something like that, so maybe it's just another guy.
They're in their little journalism office.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably the case.
Where they write their little stories. I want to make it sound as condescending as possible.
Yeah, it does.
Where they write their little stories.
Where they talk about what happened.
Yeah. They put their little pen on their little paper and they tell their little stories. It's very cute.
Oh, look at that. People are reading what they wrote. Oh, look at that. Look at them make a living doing what they want to do.
A little living.
Just a little living. But they talk about how the Karaku Cup has triple the applicants as it did last year, which has partially to do with Arakawa, and there's all this media coverage that's going on as well. And the guy that Kashio is speaking with refers to it as a madhouse for this production. And he's like, well, what's wrong with a good madhouse? Live large. And he like envisions like a headline of a rising star, the hope of Rakugo takes the stage. Catchy headline, right? And the other guy says, yeah, you're saying that kind of stuff all the time. So, but that's kind of like magazine journalism. And journalism in general, in order to make money, you have to have eye-catching headlines. Makes sense. So, but he also talks about like, oh, I think that there's actually a big explosion in popularity that could be coming. And in that sense, this year's cup is of great interest to me because Arakawa is involved. Also, Kaisei Arakawa is going to be an MC. So, hey, that guy who was introduced in like chapter 3 or something like that. Hey, he's going to be making a return appearance. Nice. And he's like, look, with all those different candidates there, I'm sure that something crazy is going to happen. You can quote me on this. The Karaku Cup this year will be a very special event. And the last thing we see as we close out the chapter is that Akane is getting set for the qualifying round of the Cup. And she's shown up in a comfy looking t-shirt, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Going to have fun. All right. Good stuff. Let's move on to Blue Box.
Blue Box, chapter number 54, Hydration.
So I just want to talk real briefly about the cover page. I first read this chapter like a little bit after waking up, and I did not process this right. I realize now this is a pile of her clothes that she's, trying to decide what to wear. The first time I looked at it, I thought those were bodies, and I was like, why is Hina looking so pensive over the corpses of her fallen enemies? And I was like, oh, never mind. I get it now.
She's also doing a little bit of a pouty face where
That's
she
what
puffs her cheeks out a little bit. So she does look as though she's eaten them too.
I was gonna say. I was like, why does she look like this? She killed all those people. She should be happy.
Wait a minute.
I was really tired.
Last time, Taiki was helping Hina recite in the very important Snow White is asleep and wakes up scene. And Hina got embarrassed because she imagined Taiki kissing her to wake her up. And then she went, "Do you want to do it for real?" To which Taiki goes very, very seriously, "No, I don't."
No, ma'am, I do not.
No. Like, just the flattest rejection. So Hina's like, "Duh, I was obviously joking. I'd be way more freaked out if you'd said yes." It's not like I was secretly hoping it at all.
Yeah.
But I definitely got your heart going doki doki, right? Ah, this is another attack strategy of the Great Hina. She recovers very
and then runs away.
Aha! I got you embarrassed. I'm not flustered at all. Goodbye!
The Great Hina wins again. I must leave now.
And she literally announces her exit. The Great Hina is on her way, like she's Superman flying off.
That sounds about right. That sounds like how Hina would do all this. She's not been replaced by a scroll. That's the important thing.
Once Hina's gone, Taiki does actually reflect on what's just happened, and it's just like, okay, that was actually a little bit like, I can't take this. And he's also like crouching down, and it's like, okay, kid, we get it. You popped an accidental boner. It's okay. It's fine. Just get over it. It's fine.
I want to say something, but I can't.
Okay.
I'll tell you afterwards, but it involves, yeah.
All right. So badminton practice. Taiki very obviously like keeping his legs spread out because it hasn't gone down yet. But he's okay. It's fine. He's definitely not. No one has noticed yet. It's fine. No one has been like, dude, calm down. Just go off over there. So, Taiki is like, this is like because he's playing against is it Hyodai? Is that his name?
Yusa is the new character.
That's not it.
The other one was Hyodo.
Hyodo. Right. So, but this is Hyodo. Haruyu Senpai. That's it. That's it.
Haruyu is the new character. Is the guy at the school. Sorry.
Ace of the school. Yes. So anyway, Taiki's like, I'm improving clearly because I'm beating other players now, but he's just beating me more convincingly than before. So what is going on? And then he's like, well, maybe I'm spreading myself too thin. Maybe I should just like improve the accuracy of my smashes and cuts. But God, like Yusa was better than I am currently now, clearly. But Haruyu is just like, hey, Taiki, the shuttlecocks of someone who has no confidence won't beat me. This is the most sports manga that this series has been so far. This is so dramatic. And he just a throwaway little bit because like, he doesn't say it all dramatically. He says it dismissively. He's like, hey, you're not going to beat me if you have no confidence in yourself. But the wording of it is ridiculous. Taiki makes a like Pokemon comparison instead, which I don't get, but I don't know. Maybe that's where his head's at. So.
He's trying to figure it out in his own way, you know.
So he's thinking like,
and you know what? I do kind of see Taiki as a fire type and Haruyu as a water type. In fact, Nick, let's pick their representative Pokemon. Taiki is kind of young. He's very fiery.
Taiki is definitely
he's a little horny.
A Chimchar.
Yeah.
He's a Chimchar. He's clearly a Chimchar.
Chimchars are quite horny, yes. Haruyu, a little quiet, a little moody, a little sexy. Much like Squirtle.
All right. I won't say which one I was thinking. We'll just keep with yours. That's fine.
No.
I'm forgetting its name now. Hang on.
What gen? Nick, I'll have you know I'm an expert at Squirtle, which is the Pokemon equivalent of Wordle.
Oh, okay, it is that. For some reason, the name made me think it wasn't it. I was going to say he's Greninja. So.
Oh, Greninja sucks.
All right, fine.
I made my strong points on Greninja before. The tongue scarf ruins it.
I guess I couldn't imagine Haru having a tongue scarf with the expressions he makes all the time. Maybe he is. Let's see. Where are the? He could be. He could be. He could be a Prinplup.
Yeah, he could be.
It's a big penguin.
Yeah, not the strongest penguin, but it's a big penguin.
Yeah. Anyway, Taiki is left to think about this, and he's thinking to himself, like, it's not that I'm lacking confidence. Like, all right, sure, if you say so. But he gets distracted because he sees Hina, who is being congratulated by her teammates. He sees Chinatsu, who's being congratulated on doing a good job by her teammates. And he's like, not exactly. I'm just a coward. That's very, very related, though, so... Class 2D is making curry samples.
Yeah.
This is very important. Anyway, Haru talks with Chinatsu about stuff. So they just talk a little bit before eventually Haru refers to Chinatsu as a trooper because she's always coming in early. She's always really serious during practice. And Chinatsu's like, oh, there's other people besides me who come, like Inamata from the badminton team is there early. And Haruya says, yeah, but I wouldn't call Taiki a trooper so much as committed. And Chinatsu says what we're all thinking, which is, what is the difference? And Haru says, you're a sadist and he's a masochist, which I don't know how that applies to coming to practice early, but all right.
I do actually kind of see where he's coming from. Like, she does it because she's disciplined and does it. He's actively looking for things to kind of be harder in his life.
I guess I can, if you put it that way, I get it. So, but Haru also brings up that Taiki has someone he wants to win against, and since he's made that his goal, he can't stop focusing on his shortcomings. He stops giving himself credit, and there's no reason to keep marching like he's crossing a desert without water. He's so committed to focusing on what he has to work on that he's forgotten to stay hydrated. Which is like, yeah, that's an interesting metaphor. I get that. Yeah, he's forgotten to take care of himself while he's doing this. So, good. And he also brings up, like, I know why he feels this way. He feels like he's got to drastically improve, and there are people who would give up even if they had enough water to keep going. But when you don't want to give up, you've got no choice but to keep putting one foot in front of the other. The hardest thing in the world is standing still. And this comment in particular is the big thing that it's closed on, and it is a point that is made by Chinatsu, which is kind of hard to tell because there's a lot of word bubbles that pop up in this moment, and there are no arrows on like any of them while Chinatsu's talking. So every time I have read this chapter, I've been like, "Oh, Haru said a thing," and Chinatsu reacted to it. It's like, no, Chinatsu said that, and now Haru is reacting to it. Anyway, Haru's got to go now, and Chinatsu says, "Hey, if you're this worried about him, maybe you should give him some hydration. It's your duty as an upperclassman." And Haru says, nah. But he goes to see Taiki, and Taiki's got some curry because Class D was serving curry. Remember, that was brought up a few pages ago. And Haru's like, "What, you're eating curry?" And Taiki's like, "Yeah, Captain Nishida gave it to me." And Haru's like, "What, that guy gave it to you? He's a great team captain." And Haru is clearly like a little bit put off by this. Like, I was supposed to do the cool senpai thing.
I like it. He's like, "Oh, could you get me a water?" Like, no, it's practice.
Taiki again is just like, "I'm just a coward." And when Hina told me she liked me and said I didn't have to give her an answer, I didn't know how to respond. Even with sports, I'm the only one who's not making any progress. Because he's trudging through the desert, but his feet aren't moving through the heavy sand. Yeah, that's what's going on.
That's powerful. That's symbolic.
Yeah. And then to close out the chapter, as he's just kind of wandering around by himself, Yusa shows up.
Yeah.
And he's asked to see where the gym is, and that's the end of the chapter. So
yeah, because they're getting ready for their practice match. It's supposed to happen.
So I will say this metaphor that runs through the chapter is very dramatic and over the top, but for a story about teenagers who don't know how to deal with romance, yeah, everything seems overly melodramatic and stuff, so it is appropriate.
Yes.
In tone.
I liked it. I like how we are continuing to expand on the idea that Haru is sort of this leader senpai character for Taiki, even though he seems to greatly hate the role.
I don't want to be a senpai. I just want to be good at badminton.
Hey, but he also seems to want to be respected the same way. That's why he gets so fucking pouty when he's like, "Wait, you got fucking? I was gonna get you curry. You got curry from someone else. Fuck it, no water for anybody. It was practice." Also,
a little bit goes a long way because we have seen this exact dynamic play out in the next story we're going to talk about a dozen different times, so many times, and it has never been as funny as it was in this one chapter.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty good chapter. Solid.
Anyway.
Nick, let's Doron into the office. Let's Doron to our seats so we can read this series quicker. Nick, Doron should be the new Morbius. It's making Doron billions.
So if we just keep on memeing it after it gets canceled, it'll get brought back into the magazine, and again, no one will read it? Is that what?
I started laughing in the middle of the podcast because one of the friend groups I'm in just sent 16 Morbius memes. And every time I saw them, it makes me laugh.
Dosan casts out a phantom fog thing, and I guess it summons a bunch of Mononoke. Dora specifically says, "Where did all these Mononoke come from?" And Kusanagi says, "It's Dosan's special power." Are they real? Are they illusions?
It's a special power, Nick.
Were they summoned?
Questions. It's a special power. It's done.
Okay.
That's all the explanation you needed.
We get confirmation that Dosan was specifically told to go after Kusanagi and Dora, and he was fed some stuff so that he could be stronger. Okay. But Dora and Kusanagi cut through some of the Mononoke that were summoned, and they keep on fighting them, and cut through those jobbers, kill them. And Dosan's like, "Wait, is that really Kusanagi? He's one of the weakest beings of the spirit world. How can they defeat all those Mononoke that have killed dozens and dozens? Oh man, Kusanagi and Dora are way stronger together than they would be apart. Who could have seen this coming?" So he's like, "So I have to target the human and separate them so that I can just suck away Kusanagi's power." And they cut through some of them. Dosan snags Dora with his trunk to drain him and goes, "I win!" And he's getting drained, and Dora goes, "Grah!" And Kusanagi says, while in Dora's hands, in sword form, "Dora, I'm coming!" And Dora says, "No! Stay in sword form, Kusanagi!"
Yeah.
Okay, but you could have him stay in sword form and, slice behind you, cut the trunk, or I don't know. So Dosan's like, "Oh my god, how can he still move? Normally it takes an instant to drain a human's life force. He should be paralyzed." And Dora, oh hey, he swings around behind him. And then Dosan casts out more fog stuff, and he's like, "I sucked away some power. Man, that human's life force is bottomless. I'll be tricky this time." Oh man, he summons an image of Dora as a kid with his mom, and they're having a conversation about stuff, and Dora takes a really long time because like there's like 7 lines of dialogue that are exchanged between the illusory Dora and his mom before Dora goes, "Mom!" So Kusanagi's like, "It's just a mirage. Stay calm." And Dora's like, "All right, but it's a mirage of a real memory of mine. What is this? There's a sweet smell and a sense of rising excitement. And oh hey, it's the little friend that Kusanagi had that Dosan killed." And
Let's
Dora's
kill
like,
it again.
yeah, Dora's like, "Let's kill it." And
Look at
Kusanagi's
this
like,
monster. Ew. You don't belong in this world.
Kusanagi's immediately like, "No, it's my friend Namezo." And it's a scene from their past where they shared food together. And literally, Namezo went, "Would you be my friend?" Because we have to make this as like that on the nose. And they're getting increasingly woozy as they experience memories of their loved ones who are gone now. And then eventually we get basically a let's play together forever and ever. Like it is so that scene from The Shining, except instead of twins, it's Dora's mom and this Namezo character. And they start approaching while Dosan's like, "Yes, take their hand and fall." And then Kusanagi and Dora go, "Bah!" and blow away the mirage. And Dosan's like, "Wah! And I'll have to kill them." Like, I don't know why he didn't summon something to attack them from behind while they were distracted, but he didn't. And,
Well, Nick, he doesn't have that power to just summon creatures. That'd be ridiculous if he just had that power to summon creatures.
yeah, imagine if he had the power to summon a giant Mononoke that could step on them while they were distracted. That'd be crazy.
He doesn't have that power unless
Doesn't
you flip back to the first page.
All right. And Kusanagi and Dora are both like, "When we're together, we can resist it." And they're like, "I'm glad you're here, Dora. I'm glad you're here, Kusanagi." Someone's a mist and someone's a giant Mononoke. Okay, end of chapter.
Nick, have you ever read something and as you're reading it, you realize the finite seconds of your life are ticking away ever slowly? And you start to question what it is you've done with this beautiful life that you've been given. Anyway, that's my review of Doron Dororon. Chapter 2.
It's so nothing. Like, just please let me just read better manga.
All right, let's before we get to it, let's play America and the rest of the world, I guess. Favorite game. Podcasters postulate poetically phrased professional pretenders. Thank you, Ninja, for posting in the chat.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to clarify before I give you this puzzle, Quinn, that this comes from a very, very specific period in this person's long career.
Okay.
Like, think to like a very specific 1 or 2 years for this. All right. Promoter of preposterous programming pivots. Propones for pact.
For pact?
Pact.
Is this WWE?
Yes.
Okay. Promoter in WWE.
I'll say this. Yes. And.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not Jerry the King Lawler. You would have done something meaner for him.
Oh, absolutely.
There
like, is a very apt P word to be used there.
You're like pervert, fat pervert, fat shitty pervert. Like it just. Nick,
with both P's in front of those.
Stupid, ugly pervert. Let me think. Say it again one more time.
promoter of preposterous programming pivots, propones for pact.
Preposterous programming. Would it have been somebody who did like a Ms. TV like segment?
No.
Okay. Propose for pact. It's not Shane McMahon.
That is much closer than The Miz, but not quite.
Okay. For pact.
Oh man, I should try and work out a way to do Raw Underground in this somehow.
Pugilist something.
Right.
Is this Paul Heyman?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Very specifically when he was part of The Alliance.
The Alliance. I want to do a podcast where we just talk about The Alliance for an hour and a half. How dumb it was. We're going to have ECW and WCW team up with none of their best stars.
We need to have
Rob Van Dam, Booker T.
Oh,
the end.
The Big Show. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Kurt Angle.
Wait, what?
Sean Stasiak.
I could stretch and see Big Show and Steve Austin, but Kurt Angle, I mean, I guess he was at an ECW show.
All right, Nick, let's play Fun World in the future. WWE buys AEW, wants to repeat the Invasion storyline. Who are the funniest wrestlers they can get to be Team AEW in the Invasion?
Cody Rhodes.
That's a big star.
Randy Orton, because of the time that he threatened to go to AEW to get a fatter contract.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Who are some people that? God, there are a few people that are like, what if they were all elite though? I think, but I don't know.
I want to, because like in my mind, I was just thinking like the Marco stunt, like obviously.
Oh, so like if AEW got bought out and all their top stars decided no.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But like, because I know Marco stunts been released, but like I was like, who would be the really funny ones for them to try to hang up? They're like, the biggest stars of all elite wrestling are here. Your favorites, like.
Colton Gunn, but not Austin Gunn.
The Ass Boys had a fight.
All right. All right,
let's get to PPPPPP.
But speaking of wrestling, PPPPP Chapter 34, 4-on-4.
I forgot
the Survivor Series.
I forgot that this was the premise of it, and it's very funny to me when they explain it. Like how we get to this point.
Don't know how this. I'm sure this must have happened, but it boggles my mind that this is going to be a thing. So, So last time, Sora Chica got a call from Fanta and decided to put Lucky on the phone, but they decide to go outside first before that happens. I don't really know why, but they do. And Lucky answers the phone, and Fanta literally is like, "Finally! Why did you make me wait that long?" And Lucky says, like, "Yeah, Sora Chica said we needed to leave the Ryokan before answering the call." And Fanta's like, "Wait, who am I talking to?" And Lucky says, "It's Lucky, your brother." We came from the same zygote. And he kind of awkwardly says, "Yeah, it's been a while," Fanta says nothing. But then Fanta has a very, very obvious Cheshire grin on his face, and he responds, "Yeah, it has been a while. How you been?" And like he says, "Yeah, I'm doing okay. Sounds like you're doing okay." And Fanta says, "You guys are all together right now, right?" And like he says, "Yeah." "Oh, good timing, because I'm going to be going to Japan for work. You ever hear of Animato University? Every March they put on this huge festival the day before graduation. It's an interesting university." All right. And Lucky starts to say that he's never heard of it, and Fonta's me like, "Oh, really? Yeah, their music department's in its 44th year. They renovated recently, and they want to make this year's festival extra special. So there's going to be a 4-on-4 piano battle."
It's it's very amusing. Like it's almost as though the manga like turned to the reader or the characters, like the readers, was just like, this is a battle manga. Like this is a shonen battle manga. We gotta have a showdown.
We
So
gotta
this is what
have.
we're gonna do.
We specifically got to have, now that Lucky has turned a few of his siblings over to his side, a team competition. And Fonta says, yeah, they're inviting 8 young famous pianists to take part in a 4-on-4 battle. We should do it. And he says, actually, like, not should. It's going to happen. It is happening.
I've already picked my team.
He says, Team F, consisting of myself and 3 hand-picked pianists, will go up against Team A, made up of you and 3 people of your choosing. And while he's giving this explanation, we specifically get a cut to Maloli and the long-haired guy.
We all know who you're talking about. We don't have to go into his name, but I think it's Kyo.
Kyo. Lucky goes, huh? And Fonta says, yeah, there's been a lot of buzz about you recently. And I've always been famous.
I'm always a big deal.
And he says, like, yeah, it's called a battle, but it's really more about working together for the sake of a fun event. He is clearly lying. Yeah. He is clearly going to treat this as a battle. But he says that they're going to be the opening act for the university's orchestra. But it sounds fun, right? So Lucky says, hold on, hang on. And Fonta says, yeah, I'll send the details to Sword Chica. Take a look at it. Bye! Just hangs up. No, he doesn't hang up.
Yeah, I was going to say before
he doesn't hang up. Lucky does manage to stop him. He says, wait, if you're going to come to Japan, I want you to pay Mom a visit. And then Fonta hangs up. Which is, like, worse than if he had hung up before Lucky could ask that of him. But Lucky turns to Sorochika and he's like, hey, does Fonta know how Mom's doing? And Sorochika says, Rachel has talked to him. And how did Fonta react? And apparently the only reaction was, hope she gets better.
Damn.
Which also has, like, this, like, silhouette effect on the word bubbles, which part of me makes me go, like, does that cover up what he actually said? But nah, the dismissiveness of that and just, like, the neutral tone, I think, covers everything. It's his mom. Like, come on, dude. So Rachel is apparently still trying to get Fonta to go out to see her. Lucky says when we were kids, he was egotistical and a narcissist. And we see this in action as, like, he's, you know, on one of their assistants' backs going like, I'm awesome, don't mess with me.
That's not an assistant. It's one of his siblings.
Is it?
That's Don.
Oh, okay. Right. Don looks that.
I just like because Don was a fucking, like, as a 6-year-old wearing a full tuxedo suit, basically.
Right.
But it's so much harsher he did it to his own siblings.
Yeah. And then and he's a narcissist. He's just posing in the mirror with Lucky going, look, I'm cooler than you. But Sorochika said, but Lucky goes on to say, but you know, when Mom was sick and sleeping, he was always the most worried of all of us. And Lucky actually says, like, I wonder if he's changed, and if he has, then it's my fault. Which is very sad. Like, you know, blaming himself for something that, you know, honestly is not his fault. But Sorochika says, I'm not really sure about that. We don't really get any follow-up on that because the 3 siblings have arrived in the hospital and Mimin bursts through the door going, Mama!
Aww.
Yeah. And she immediately goes to see her and she's very happy to see them. She's just got this very quiet smile on her face as she greets them all. They ask how she's doing. And she says, oh, I'm fine, but all of you, wow, you've really done it. Are you okay? And And she just looks between them. And Lucky, first scandal. Sorashika, second scandal. Min, run away.
I do love that scene.
And Min's just smiling, and she's like, I'm fine.
Yeah, she's got her big smile everywhere she goes.
She's happy.
Yeah.
But they reassure her, like, yeah, we're all right. Although Lucky doesn't say anything, he just looks guilty. But their mom says, well, if you're okay, then... And then she fades off, and she suddenly collapses on her bed while they, yell out and worry over her. And of course, we've known this whole time that she supposedly has she had a year and a half at best, according to doctors' estimates, to live. So it's a very real danger in their mind that this could be bad for her. So
yeah, this chapter hits pretty hard. It's weird because most of this chapter is just we're gonna do a dumb shonen fucking piano battle. Guess what, guys? This is Food Wars now, but with the piano.
A 4-on-4 piano battle, which A, I've never heard of, and B, of all the instruments in the world to have 4 playing, can you just imagine that 4 pianos playing at the same time? That can't be it. It's got to be individual or in a row.
I assume it's individual. You can't even have them playing at the same time. It can't be head to head. They just have to be maybe it's one-on-one matchups and you play and then they play or something like that, or maybe it's judged as a whole. I have no idea. But you know what they're probably going to do? It's probably going to be some stupid shit after they play, people pour sand into a fucking bottle based on how much they like it. And they're like, who's ever bottle has more sand wins. I think that's how Harry Potter does the stupid fucking house cups or whatever. It's going to be some dumb bullshit like that. But
you're not wrong.
Yeah. I never am. I'm never wrong. But then, they get to the hospital, and suddenly the scene hits ridiculously hard. It's nice. It reminds you, because she's fine. I assume she's not going to die next week or whatever. But it does remind you that there is this very tight emotional core to the story, and it's nice seeing her children who are slowly coming around, seeing her again. It's nice, and as a mom, she also worries about them. I like it. She's like, "Are you guys okay? Because you're in a scandal. You're in a scandal. You ran away from home."
Yeah, it's a very tight and effective chapter. You just you hit these establishing beats, a lot of character moments in between them. And it does seem as though it's appropriate story-wise for their mother to have a setback at this point when they have had that focus drawn in on. Fanta apparently was the most worried about her condition previously. So that seems like it'll be instrumental in the conflict with him.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, Chapter 109, Ryoh Grantz and the Evil Giant. And our color cover page is
This
Ryoh
is amazing.
Grantz, the cover of a magazine. By the way, the magazine I can only presume is called Hot Guy Festival because I can't find a title for the magazine anywhere else unless the magazine is titled Mashle, Magic and Muscles. So that made me laugh. But there's a lot of funny insights if you check out the
my favorite is absolutely Dot Barrett's dream imaginary date.
So we cut back into the story. The giants and the evil army has shown up. They're destroying the town. A little girl's going to be attacked. But hey, the magic police have shown up. And we can tell this is a fantasy story because the police run towards danger instead of standing outside of it for a long period of time. But just like the real police, they're very ineffective and get punched once and they're done. So the giants are there and they're like, we shall kill everybody. And then once we do it, we will take down Innocent Zero. And we cut over to a guy whose name I have forgotten, but it's the dude from the scorpion fight, basically, that was a bully that beat up Dot. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, hey, everyone, you remember me, right? Pierced eyebrow dude, lacked magic, mushroom head, beat me up. I went into town thinking I was going to rob kids at their lunch money, so he didn't completely turn. But then this happened. I was like, casually, I was just going to go to town to rob some kids at their lunch money.
He's like 15.
What do you need with $2? And he's just like, oh God, they just beat the police. They did everything. I'm going to die. I'm just going to run away fast. And then he sees a little kid who's crying. He's like, oh God, do I leave that kid to die? Yeah, I suck. Of course I'm going to leave that kid to die. And then the kid's like, help me, mister. He's like, God damn it, you came here. And the giant's like, oh, there's a human here. He's like, oh, fuck, you brought him here now, too. And he just says, I'm dead. The bully gets his just desserts. What can you do? That's karma. And this is all happening as the giant's fist is coming towards him. And, like, his cheeks are flapping based off just, like, the sheer wind that's just creating. And he thinks to Mash. And he's like, but wait. He bullied me, too. And Mash just says to him in his dream, hang tough. And he's like, shut up, loser. So he grabs the little kid, jumps away, saves the little boy. And then his arm gets cut straight off the giant. And he's just like, what? And we cut up to Ryoh Grantz standing on the roof, who says, when someone is in trouble and they cry out for help, there is one man who will always arrive in their hour of need. That man is me. And suddenly, Nick, now we know why Ryoh Grantz was ranked the third most popular. Or no, that was Kaldo Gana. Or no, it was Kaldo. Never mind. I thought this was the guy who ranked really high in the popularity poll, but it's not.
I mean, you know that if the popular poll were held around this time, that he would be much higher up on that list, though.
It says, mankind knows me as Ryoh Grantz, but the whole world over, I'm universally recognized as the greatest creation in all of humankind.
And freaking angel cherubs are floating around him.
And everyone's like, yeah, you rule. Ryoh. And I just like, I don't know who it is. Someone just says, where did all these cheering people come from? Like, there's people like in cheerleader outfits, and people are like have like fucking like the little things you whack together to make noise, and there's banners. You're like, isn't this town being devastated by giants right now? Aren't you all in like some fucking Attack on Titan hellscape at the moment? The giant's just like, it matters not, divine visionary. You think you can best us with our numbers while protecting these people? And Ryoh just says, stars are always getting swarmed. And he drops a bunch of sunglasses on the ground. And the giant's like, sunglasses? He says, you'll need them because I shine so bright that I'm blinding. And I was like, I fucking love this Johnny Cage motherfucker and his obnoxious arrogance. So of course they go to try to beat him up. Ryoh dodges, slash, literally cuts them into pieces. Like true, like again, Attack on Titan, just like they're shredded. They're just chunks at this point. Bloody chunks falling from the sky. And he just says, you couldn't have asked for a better day or a better end than to be killed by yours truly, which is kind of dope. But we cut to Innocent Zero, who seems to be grinning at all this. I think he has more tricks up his sleeve, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we end the chapter. We cut over to Meliadul, who has some big gear thing, like a measuring gauge, next to Mash, who has a giant winding gear like thing into him. And she's turning and she says, this is the wind-up key of life. I have to turn it for 24 hours, and that'll take to heal Mash. An imperative that he recover by the eclipse. And then it ends on the best joke, or everyone will look at me like I killed him.
Yeah. This
chapter is so fucking funny.
It's so nice to have Mashle be back to this kind of stuff. Like, oh yeah, outrageous action, but also phenomenally stupid, silly humor. Like just all the things that Ryoh Grantz does in this like taking the stage moment where he's supposed to look like a badass, but he's just like, this guy's so arrogant and silly. It's great.
The line of him dropping off sunglasses.
Because I shine so brightly that I'm blind.
To giants, by the way, who could not wear them if they wanted to.
It's just such a weird sight gag. It's like, why are you taking out sunglasses? Because my brightness will blind you.
And it's like, I don't know why I find it so funny that the bully dude was just like, I was here in town just trying to rob children of their lunch money. Just like,
I just got done kicking that puppy over there.
Yeah, I came to town to burn down some orphanages.
Oh, boy.
But Mash saved me once, so I'm going
I
to say
just
this
came
little
into
kid.
town to sell some NFTs.
I thought I'd find some recycling kids and knock them over. All right, let's wrap these up. 2 chapters left.
Yes, the Elusive Samurai, Chapter 64, back 1335. Color page of Tokiyuki and Kojiro in the rain. And we see Kojiro and Ayako in their armor doing some fighting some
Her
goons.
legs look less horrifying this time.
Thank goodness.
Someone might have tried to draw them this time.
And we get some of their troops just like observing them, being like, "Oh man, we don't really know where this like Chojimaru guy came from, but holy shit, that dangerous plan he enacted, and these 2 kids who are incredibly skilled at fighting. Yeah, this is great. We can't let a kid like that die while we're here picking our noses. It would disgrace the Kamakura warriors. Good." They won't pick their noses because they're so bored of their weird leader. Good. Mission accomplished. But Kojiro is pushed back because 2 different troops are attacking him at the same time, and he can only defend himself. Fortunately, the Kamakura warriors intercede and help him out. And they show that, like, hey, they're skilled as well. We cut over to Tokiyuki, who is, of course, fighting with... I'm confused now because he's got like 4 names now.
Shogun or Shokin.
Let's just call him Shogun. So he is insulted.
It bothers me because aren't the Shokans the 4-armed race in Mortal Kombat?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think so. Hold on, Mortal Kombat.
Do I have to stop reading the chapter?
Carry on. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna start reading Shogun lore out to you though at various points.
So he is insulted by the fact that Tokiyuki has turned his back on him. And he's like, what, you think that turning away from me is going to make me lower my guard? And Tokiyuki just says, hey, don't judge me until after you've killed me. So Shogun's like, all right. He tries to attack him while his back is turned. But Tokiyuki dodges out of the way. And Shogun's like, how the hell did he do that? He attacks him again, and he dodges again. And he's like, how is he... I know he's really good at fleeing, but how is he seeing my attacks coming? There must be some way he can dodge with his back turned.
Shokan usually have 4 arms whose hands only have 3 digits each with black fingernails. However, Shokan from the Tigrar class, most notably Kentaru, also boasts tiger-like stripes, fur, whiskers, and other feline features.
All right. Because they weren't ridiculous enough, I guess.
There's Cat Goros, Nick, come on.
Gotcha. So Shokan's like, there's got to be some trick that can let him see behind me like this. And he just looks beyond him and is like, oh, his partner is just signaling to him with gestures, and he's just reacting to those movements. And so as this is happening, he's like, I get it. So the other boy is signaling to him. It's a good tactic because, they're trying to unsettle me. But on the other hand, I can easily counteract this. I just need to strike in the opposite direction of his signal. This is over, Chojimaru Dono. But you were a worthy warrior. And so he dual wields, and there's a really cool shot of him twisting his swords around so that he'll strike in one area, and then Fubuki will direct him into the other strike.
Despite his fate being unknown in Mortal Kombat 2011, Kentaru is so far the only character killed off in the comics. This death has been ruled as canon. And because of this, he is one of the few characters to be dead in both the original and current timelines of the Mortal Kombat universe.
All right.
So there's no love for Cat Goro.
We get some a little flashback of Fubuki explaining this tactic, and he says, "Yeah, this is actually setting up for the two-fanged bear blade, because when Shokan notices my signal, he'll pay attention to me instead of you, and that's when we strike." And so when Shokan starts doing this, Fubuki suddenly lunges in towards Tokiyuki, and we get an emphasis here of like, you've got to keep your back turned on Shokan, which will increase the danger to yourself. and entrust your life to your retainer. But Tokiyuki at that moment was just like, yeah, I trust you. And he's like, I trust, Fubuki, Kojiro, Ayako. I can use this technique with any of my dependable retainers. And I love that detail of, like, he doesn't say Genba's name there, and Genba's just, like, there in the background. And he's like, huh? This is like, wait a minute. Why did you name me? But, Fubuki's like, hey, this is another, aspect of Tokiyuki that makes him such a great lord because, putting his faith in this tactic, it cannot fail for someone so kind and so trusting. And we get this moment where Fubuki lunges in and doesn't just feint. He follows through and stabs toward Tokiyuki's head. And he analyzes, like, yeah, when he did that goofy drunken hip attack before, that's where I got this idea from it. When he attacks someone while jumping backwards, that's when he's at his strongest. So if I leap as if I'm going to kill him, he'll flee from my blade. In other words, I am the hilt that will aim the blow. He is the blade that strikes. 2 swordsmen, 1 sword, 2-fanged bear blade. And Tokiyuki lunges backward and stabs behind himself and goes right through Shokan's fucking neck. And Shokan, as he's falling and blood's going everywhere. This was meant specifically to kill me. He has grown just to defeat me. The boy who saved my soul has grown and bested me. How divine. At the end of my sinful life, I raised a warrior, fought like a warrior, died like a warrior. As for regrets, I don't have a single... He remembers the little girl that he had the meeting with before who asked him to come back alive. And he just thinks to himself as he falls, it seems I don't want to die after all. And he falls in a whole ton of his own blood. So he seems dead. I don't know. Maybe he'll come back. He came back before. Lost a lot of blood then.
The names of the 2 Shokan racial variations, Draco and Tiger, are allusions respectively to dragon and tiger, 2 Earthrealm animals portrayed in real-life Eastern myths and folklores to constantly be battling each other, universally regarding martial arts-themed motifs. So we've all learned a lot today.
Yeah, that's
mostly
right.
About Mortal Kombat and the Shokan.
I definitely didn't know about the Tiger Shokan, so I'll give you that. So
you didn't play Mortal Kombat 2?
No, I never played much of any Mortal Kombat. I've never owned any of the games, so.
I gotta get you set up with a Mortal Kombat as explained by Manga episode now.
There's certainly enough lore for it.
There's too much.
How many color palette swapped ninjas are there? Like a dozen? Because there's Scorpion.
I think there's
2 Sub-Zeros.
Well, not even including multiple Sub-Zeros and female ninjas. That's an entirely different area. There's Scorpion, there's Sub-Zero, Reptile,
Rain.
Ermac, Rain,
Smoke,
Tremor, Chameleon, and I think there's another one I'm missing.
Tremor is where you lost me there.
Nope,
it's like really...
Boot. I think there's another one. Tremor showed up in I think like one fucking thing. He's the brown ninja who has like earth powers and he shows up in nothing. There's like another one I think I'm missing too. But there's a lot.
There's a lot.
And then there's cyborgs. And then there's
right, because there's cyborg ninjas,
yeah.
And some of the color palette swap ninjas have become cyborg ninjas, I believe.
Yes, and then they also all combined in one game to become Triborg, who covered just all of them. And then there's Cyber Sub-Zero.
All right, we're wasting gold here. We're wasting gold.
All right,
keep an eye out for Mortal Kombat explained by Manga.
Oh man, I'm gonna have fun with that episode.
It's a shame that there is no C in the word manga because then we could replace it with a K. So
recap.
All right.
That was the best reaction.
All right.
One Piece. Kaido's dead.
Right. One Piece. Chapter 1050. Honor! Yeah, Kaido and Big Mom apparently burned him in a volcano and caused an eruption of the island. Okay. That's what we're saying happened, at least. Luffy falls through the air. Yamato catches him because Yamato's a cool new friend. And also, they praise Luffy, saying, "Man, this is incredible. You're incredible." And then we just kind of cut down to the festival. People still don't realize, oh, Kaido's been defeated yet. We get this this flashback from the Tengu's perspective of a conversation he had with Otoko, who was like, "Oh, I heard that my daddy used to be really important. He knew he would be killed if they caught him, but he went ahead and let them arrest him anyway. So that's what somebody told me. I wonder why, though." But she's like, Yusuye gave this country a fighting chance, and the Tengu says if he hadn't done what he did, when he did it, all the lights of hope we built up would have gone out. He gave his life to protect the future of Wano. And we get this just brief little moment of Yasuye, realizing that Otoko has eaten the smile fruit and then deciding to eat the smile fruit too so that they would, share that fate together. Aw. And Otoko realizes, like, wait, so he did that for me then, because the Tengu says he did this to preserve the future so you could grow up happy. So Otoko looks at the lantern that she's made up and she's like, well, then I'll change my message. How's this look? And Tengu, when he sees it, he gets all teary-eyed and he smiles and he thinks to himself, to a warrior, there is no greater honor. And so Otoko had the message on her lantern, I want to see Daddy. And she's crossed out part of it and instead is written in, Daddy, thank you. Aww. My heart.
I wish I had another Shokan fact to interrupt this moment.
No, I have to feel things now. The lanterns are floating up in the sky. Cat Viper is observing this and he's like, I haven't seen that in years. And then he's like, oh, right, stuff is happening right now. So he shouts down into the Skull Dome and says, I can confirm it. Luffy smashed Kaido all the way deep into the earth. Ooh. And also he says that Lord Momonosuke turned into a giant dragon and stopped the island from falling. And everyone's like, wait, the pink dragon's Momonosuke? And yeah, Cat Viper says, after 20 long years of waiting for the chance to avenge Odin's death, we are victorious. The Battle of Onigashima is over. Asterisk. We'll see. Probably.
Most likely, but just hold on.
And they're like, yeah. And on the way, we took down 2 emperors of the sea. Holy shit. Like, I can't believe we survived this battle, let alone one. And freaking, yeah. Oh God, what's his name? The Scratchman Apu. Yeah. He's like, wait, Straw Hat beat Kaido? What the hell? This isn't right.
I wish they had cut over to Hawkins, who's just like, because they cut over to a lot of supernovas, and I just wanted to be like, coughing up blood.
But of course, while there is a lot of celebrating going on, there are of course also people in critical condition. Frankie is trying to rush Zoro over to Chopper. Usopp is trying to get Toki and Kinemon over. And
Toki.
then important.
It's Kinemon and Okiku.
Toki
was Oden's wife.
There's too many characters in One Piece. So
a couple of them are dead.
We cut outside where Momonosuke is, and he calls out to Zunisha and says, I've thought long and hard. I will not open the borders yet. And it's like, all right, fair enough. Wano's got to recover from a 20-year
Come on in, everybody. It's just a town on fire.
Yeah. Maybe they're super vulnerable right now, so maybe need a little bit of time to be in a better state to actually open the borders. Fair enough. And Zunisha says, I will respect your decision and trust in your judgment. And then the ground starts shaking because a volcano erupts, because the bodies of the freaking warlords of the sea caused the volcano to erupt, which happens. Some of Kaido's men refuse to stand down because they're like, Kaido didn't lose. Fuck that. Like, there's no way he lost.
Yeah.
And Frankie gets set to keep fighting, but Yamato steps forward and demands that they all stand down. And Yamato says, "You have already died once in this fight," which is like, yeah, I mean, I guess with all the shit that happened to everyone, basically everyone is technically should have died multiple times with the virus and the fire and everything. Yeah, he's got a point. So, and also he points out, like, hey, if it weren't for our leader, the friggin' island would have collapsed. You owe us your lives, basically. And if you keep on fighting from here, I will destroy you all. And yeah, Yamato could kick any of their asses. So it seems like that seems to work. The volcano erupts. And then Momonosuke comes flying down through the sky, and everyone's like, "Wait a minute, Kaido, you're not dead." "Oh wait, you're pink. You're not Kaido." Momonosuke proclaims, "I am not Kaido. The eruption was the final drumbeat signaling the end of Kaido, supreme commander of the Animal Kingdom pirates." That's what you think. We'll see. And then figures emerge through the smoke and dust brought on by Momonosuke's appearance, as the healthy Crimson Akazaya 9 come through, as does Komurasaki. And they're like, holy shit, is this a vision? What's going on? And then Denjiro is there with them, and they're like, what happened to your hair? And Denjiro says, it's going to be a long, long story. We've brought the new Shogun of Wano. And that is where we leave off. Who's going to be the Shogun? Probably Momonosuke?
Probably. Look, it would not blow my mind if they're like, it should be Hiyori for all intents and purposes. But it is notable that the first major decision in Wano's new government was made by Momonosuke already, so we shall see.
But, hey, if Momonosuke is making that decision, then maybe other people won't have to stick around, and maybe, we'll see.
Are you saying Hiyori for Straw Hat?
That'd be an interesting choice, wouldn't it?
It would be a curveball.
Yeah. So it's like, they're like, what can you do in combat? I play the shamisen.
I can stab you with a sea stone nail. I mean, I'm 0 for 1 in that being actually like effective, but it is my thing.
They kicked out at 2. Yeah.
That's a great way to describe it.
Fucking Orochi and his bullshit false finishes.
All right, let's wrap this up.
It's like trying to pin Adam Cole. All right. So that is it for Weekly Manga Recap, guys. What's the best chapter of the week? Who's the MVP?
There's
hit me.
A lot of really good ones this week. This one's like really tough to pick, to be honest, but is yours, because it's already written in, Ninja already wrote yours in as My Hero Academia and Jiro?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'll wrap this up.
Honorable mention. I will give to, oh gosh, what is the freaking name of the character? I will give an honorable mention to Ryoh Grantz, though, because that is an incredible scene he had.
Gotcha. I will follow up your Homer fanboyism with my favorite series this week, because it made me laugh so hard recapping it, was Mashle. And then my character of the week is Ryoh Grantz for the same reason. Like, the dude was so over the top. Like, it always makes me happy to see MASH can evolve beyond just MASH as the source of humor. And see, like, I was like, God, why have we not gotten more ridiculous scenes with Ryoh Grantz's like crazy pompous attitude? Like, it was really good. But there were a lot of really good ones this week. Akane-banashi was great. Elusive Samurai, Kaiju No. 8. Basically, like, Undead Unluck, basically everything except Doron Dororon was really good this week, I thought, actually.
Pretty much. God, if I had to pick, Spy Family, I guess, was just just there. But that's
But like, so the audience picked Elusive Samurai as the chapter of the week, and then Iharu from Kaiju No. 8 won character of the week.
It was good to stand up for him too. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can go wrong on like 80% of the chapters this week,
Yeah.
or characters for those chapters. So yeah, good stuff. Great week of manga, guys. We will be back with another week of manga next week on Weekly Manga Recap Week. So
Weekly Manga
that's gonna do it.
Recap with a K.
Yeah.
We're a Mortal Kombat podcast now.
And also the K in weekly. Wait.
We can't futz with it too much.
No, I guess not. We can't be too greedy. That is going to do it for the show, guys. Thank you for joining us for the recording here on twitch.tv/RoloT. You can join us normally on Wednesdays at around 7:30 to 8 Eastern time. We did have, of course, change things up this week due to outside problems. And to stay updated on when the show does get recorded, follow us on social media and join us on the WMR Discord channel. You can see our handles on the video version here, but for those of you who listen to the audio version, it is RoloT, Nick F. Time, and WMR Podcast. If you join the said Discord server, you can talk about the chapters that come out in the series that we recap each week. You can make recommendations for future series for us to cover on the show, and talk about the recommendation that we're currently working on, and see how everyone's feeling about it as they're reading through it in preparation for the discussion episode. And also, you can find all that stuff on the spreadsheet maintained by Ninja X3i that keeps track of the MVP and favorite series voting and all sorts of other historical information associated with the podcast. We would like to extend our special thanks to Milo Jack Stillitz and Winsley L. Cheddar for creating the opening sequence on the video version of Weekly Manga Recap, which you can see on youtube.com/Weekly Manga Recap, which also has the occasional thumbnail provided for us by Steve Mann, whose work you can enjoy wherever boobs are allowed to be drawn on the internet, including his own Twitter account, twitter.com/SteveMannArt. And you can also, if you don't want to queue up a YouTube, if you want to just put on your own special podcast app, I don't know how those things work. I don't have any of them on my phone because I don't believe in those things. We're on Spotify and iTunes and basically anywhere that podcasts can be put on, from weeklymangarecap.podbean.com is our main website where everything is hosted.
Yeah, and next time, we are definitely talking about D. Gray Man. It's happening.
Oh boy!
Now it's almost like it'd be a funny joke if we just didn't talk about it.
Just never talk about it.
Never talk about D. Gray Man. We just keep waiting until one day. Eventually, it's like the last episode. We're like, all right, we're gonna talk about D. Gray Man, and then it cuts.
And Don't Stop Believing stops playing in the background.
Exactly. Ska version of Don't Stop Believing.
I'm sure it exists. I'm going to have to look that up.
I'm about to look it up right now. All right, guys.
All
That's
right.
going to do it. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.